Good morning, everybody. All the early birds who are warming up with us. Blue sky outside and the wind just whipping around here, sounding like we're in a canyon or something this morning. But it is getting to be that time of year when I worry there's not enough winter left to cover all the things we want to talk about and all we want to do. So
why everybody else is going, there's too much winter, there's too much winter.
we did invite the world in, and there may be people here who have not heard the particulars. So we're making sure that you know that we're going to start at 8:30 with our formal webinar. And we're looking right now to make sure that your microphone is muted and your camera is off. So we're watching for sound and saying, please turn off your microphones, but you can look yourself to make sure that that's done. And we want you to be able to chat today. Definitely want you to be able to chat today or raise your hand. So look for in the corner that your microphone is slashed and your video is slashed. And we can assure you that if they're slashed, you just have a name. If anybody
That's
should
what
look at participants, they will not see you sipping coffee. They will not see you munching toast, and not hear you doing things or yelling at the dog or whatever. If you open your participants window, you'll find the raise hand control, or sometimes that raise hand control is in reactions, or it's got its own little thing down the bar. But look for the raise your hand control. If you don't want to chat, if you don't want to type your questions in, or you don't want to, in our case, type in which ground covers you want to talk about, then raise your hand pops you to the top of our list so that we can tell you it's your turn. Go ahead and do it. So
like
Carol has just done. Carol, you raised your hand. Why don't you go ahead and turn on your microphone and tell us what it is that you want to talk about? No, it's not on.
I was just practicing raising my hand when you were talking about it.
Oh, Carol, you're so good. Very good.
It worked, and we noticed. So two things happened that.
Yeah, and so then one person can talk with us without everyone hearing everything that's going on. Thanks, Carol.
Did you have a question?
She was just
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also, your chat. Yeah, your chat.
I did a webinar yesterday and it didn't say raise hand, it said reactions, and I was looking all over for the raise hand control, and I didn't end up being able to ask my question because I
couldn't find where it was.
The choices were different.
Yeah.
It depends on your computer, and it depends
what kind of Zoom platform they're using too.
Right.
Sorry, Steve.
Anyway, I'm muting.
Okay. So find your chat control too, which is probably on your menu bar. Once your chat is open, you'll have something that says to everyone. Keep it dialed to everyone, because that's where we look, is to the everyone notices. Steve and I don't see anything that says to us.
Yeah, we can't. We can't answer.
Yeah. Well, we could.
If one of us sat and read the chat.
That's right. We could.
All right. Without Sonia, we'd be
up a creek.
Yes.
So what you type into everyone, when you hit return, as soon as you hit return, it pops to the top where Sonia can line it up for a question and answer session. And she'll tell us that we've got this question waiting for us, or sometimes other people in the chat, including Sonia, who's very good at it, will answer for you. And you can save the chat. If you get some really good information in there that's just to you, look for the ... menu. We do understand that there are some places where you can't save chat, like on an iPad, I think is one of the things that Sonia has told us. If you can't save the chat, but you want it, please know that we always have it.
We have it in a rough form.
We don't have
not edited. It's just how they give it to us.
And we don't have your private chat. We don't, if you privately chat
with anybody,
we don't see that. So stick with to everyone. The webinar guide today, Sonia has already placed that link into the chat box. If you haven't picked it up, then you want to do that.
There it is again.
There it is again. Yes.
Yeah. See.
So that's what we need to make sure that everybody knows. Now, what questions do we need to warm up with? We have one if lined up, if no one has anything else going on here. Thanks, Karen, for the link to the Master Gardeners of Oakland County Gardening Conference. It's nice.
There's nothing lined up in chat yet, but I will keep an eye out for hands if anyone has questions.
Okay. Then we had a question from Michelle, who was looking to try to find things to put into her dry shade. And she said, I found a note on plants for dry shade in Missouri Botanical Gardens website where she goes for information. And it's a good great website.
It has good information.
She said she found bottlebrush buckeye was listed there. But then when she looked up their bottlebrush buckeye page, it said intolerant of dry shade. She said, wait, we looked at it too. And it's quite possible that there's no, it's not quite possible. There are contradictions on our website too, things that we put in 25 years ago and since then have maybe rethought them or phrased it differently or whatever. There can be discrepancies, and especially with which plants like what.
Well, where we are, these are big white pines and spruces in here and other trees, and it's dry.
Yeah, it's about. There's a canopy about 10 feet over the head of that bottlebrush buckeye. Now, there is a story there on that particular one, and we know that it's doing well in the dry shade. It came as just a little piece that from our old house, when I was walking around crying in the old garden, I walked over and took a trowel and took out a small sucker, something I could fit into a 1-gallon pot. I just took out a small sucker off of our bottlebrush buckeye, and I stuck it in there in September. And then Steve got hurt while we were moving.
Yep.
Spent a month in the hospital. And then I was nursed for about 5 months every day with all kinds of stuff to do. And I completely forgot the stuff that I put there. It didn't get the watering that we do. We don't water in our yard, but if we put in a new plant,
We water.
or we transplanted that yew that's back there afterwards, the first year we'll bucket water out to it once a week. This one didn't even get that. Now it's been 5 years and it took its time because it's shady in there, but it's now about 4 feet, getting close to 5 feet tall.
And
it
equally
is,
as wide.
and it is suckering, which means that it is liking it there. So we think that it is tolerant of dry shade, but
it's not prolific. I could see about 10 sprouts of blooms on there. That plant in the sun would probably have 20 to 25, and it'd be significantly bigger. But the question was, it doesn't like it's nice color, it blooms, it does everything we want it to do. So I think it likes the dry shade to a point. Also also dry shade in Missouri and St. Louis. It's a lot hotter there. It's a lot more humid. There could be a big difference in how their dry shade is to our dry shade.
There's also different locations, even we've planted, I think I counted up about 12, maybe 15 bottlebrush buckeyes in people's yards over the years. And some of them have been in shade, some of them have been in sun, some have been in sand, some have been in clay. And I can't find anything consistent in my mind on how they've worked, but there's so many variables. In 2 of those cases, I can think that after I watched them for a while, I realized there's something wrong with the roots on these.
Yep.
In one case, they got eaten, eaten by deer because they don't eat them,
over.
Beat the living daylights out of it and came back again. I mean, so how do you possibly know whether something likes it? But we know that it can do it. And we expect that it'll keep growing taller now and get up to be 10 feet tall. It's
meeting our expectations of what we wanted that shrub to do and exceeding it, actually.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that you'll find discrepancies about. Even the big guns, even Michael Durr and Alan Armitage will disagree with themselves, and we'll disagree with them sometimes. We'll be reading something they wrote and go, come on.
Just ask Mike Durr about the Bradford pear.
That's right. Yeah. So any other questions that are out there? None. My gosh, it's quiet this morning. We've been doing lots of newspapers to give away. Here we go. Someone else has lots of newspapers, and so do we still have, maybe 12 bundles of newspaper that are extras, and we're ready to go get some more from our friend. If you're looking to do any smothering projects this spring, send us an email and we'll send you drop you off some of our papers like we did for Jocelyn a little bit ago, or we'll tell Michelle, they're in your part of town, head over there and do that. I saw a message up here somewhere. Hope everybody is staying warm. Yeah, it is cold out there. There we go. Marvin, it's nice to see you here. We were at the arborists conference this week.
I gave a live in person.
In person, we were
Real.
in person at a
Real.
conference. When we
Yep.
first got there, we didn't know how to behave.
What, are we supposed to plug this into what?
Yeah, oh, yeah, we had.
Oh, we had to test what? Microphones? What are those?
But it was great to talk to arborists, and especially to have that understanding that they are specialists in what they do.
Yes.
And we're generalists in what we do. Although in the garden, we're more special than the arborists are, and to be able to talk about, well, what do you do in this case? What do you do in that case? And just share information was wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. Thanks for inviting us, Marvin.
We have a hand up from Nancy now.
Okay,
Yes,
Nancy,
Nancy.
go ahead.
Good morning, Janet and Stephen and Sonia.
Yeah.
I have a question. I have been searching. I started in the fall, searching in preparation for this coming spring for Lindera augustifolia. And so many nurseries just say that they don't carry it, they haven't seen it, they have the Lindera benzoin. Is there some reason that the benzoin is preferable or more saleable than the other?
Right.
Lindera benzoin is the native, hang on one second, is the native and has been on the market for quite some time, and native plants are very popular. So a lot of people are growing Lindera benzoin.
Yeah. And right now that's why, because of the native and the,
Right.
we haven't found many of that.
Lindera angustifolia, angus being narrow-leaved, is the Asian version, Korean, Chinese area version. And it came over here maybe 25, 30 years ago, which is new in cultivation. I'm forgetting completely Klein Nurseries. Oh, well, anyway, the owner in Klein Nursery was one of the people that collected it and brought it over here. And he's grown a lot of them, and he's a wholesaler and distributed them in various places. There was a bad winter shortly after they came over, 95, 96, that killed a lot of things. It killed
Not just that.
grape holly. It killed a lot of things. It killed a whole field of Japanese maples, and a lot of people said, "Oh, it's not hardy." Well, we haven't found that it's got a hardiness problem, and we've had some growing for 20 some years. So we are high on it, and Coleman Walsh Nursery had one before we did, and that's when I first saw it. So they're out there, but like a lot of other things, it's a little hard to find.
Some certain plants, for some reason, it is very difficult to
Bottlebrush buckeye. When
Yeah.
we first went for the reason that I was crying over the bottlebrush buckeye in our old neighborhood.
That's right.
Is that when we got those, we had to drive all the way to Lansing to get the last two scrawny little pots that they had of bottlebrush buckeye. And at one of the nurseries that we buy a lot at in the metro area, I asked for bottlebrush buckeye, and they went, "Oh, no, you don't want that plant."
Yeah.
I said, "Really? I like it." "No, you don't want that
It
plant."
was-
We'd seen it at the Arnold Arboretum. We loved it. Well, and I kept telling people about bottlebrush buckeye. So maybe 5 years later, I was back at the same nursery talking to the same designer. And I said, "My bottlebrush buckeye, great plant. Come over here." And they had, so it just takes some time sometimes for things to catch on. We have one that was a seedling. In one garden, we had a seedling, and I got it, and it was this big when I brought it over. I mean, it was a seedling, and now it's this big, and it's got six leaves on it. And I said, "Okay."
Wow. We were so disappointed because we forgot. We mentioned water. This one we really had to watch, and both of us missed it, and we thought we lost it.
It's true. And then I went, "Wait, there it is." So keep looking, and tell the nurseries where you go. Say Klein Nursery, Klyn, Klein Nursery in Ohio grows them. Check with them, because then that's a wholesaler, and they can get some in to try them.
Okay, and I'm also getting differing views as to whether it's kind of a gangly shrub or one that can become quite dense.
It's pretty dense in our experience.
I would call it a dense shrub in most cases.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and that was what I saw from Durr, and some of the other ones were saying that it was more gangly, but I would trust Durr.
Yeah, I think.
And you.
Somebody's experience.
When you find it growing, trust what you're seeing.
That's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
Okay, I'll remember Klein and pass that on. Thank you so much.
You're
Sure.
welcome.
Thanks for asking. And we'll put any questions that are there and hands that are raised. We're going to wait now while we get started on our, and we'll go into
Yeah.
one of our other question and answer sessions.